Need high-quality video to promote your event, business, or band? We can help.
We're Pixel Pond, a video production team based in the Pacific Northwest, providing high-quality content to clients across the U.S. and Canada.
Whether you want coverage of your live event to promote for next year, or need a camera and a camera operator for your next big project, we can accommodate projects of all sizes.
Your story is important. Visit pixelpondllc.com or send an email to info@pixelpondllc.com to get started today. We can't wait to work with you.
This time on Gamers Week podcast. All right, next up, Star Wars infamous villain Darth Vader has been turned into an AI, and users have already got saying some pretty heinous things.
I hope this is a warning to other people who would be willing to shill out the likenesses of their dead relatives and be like, wait a second, my grandpa could end up saying what now?
Right.
In a video game? I get the appeal of messing with AI, and I get the appeal. Like, personally, I would love to make it say just absolutely filthy things.
Yeah.
Just to prove that this technology is too easily manipulated.
Open up your Sarlacc pit. I'm going to shove my lightsaber in it.
Could you do I've altered your whole, pray I don't alter it any further?
That killed me. Oh my god. Oh my god.
So do you know how to say cheers in Polish?
Google does.
It's Nastrovia.
Nastrovia. How do you say I need more toilet paper in Polish?
I think that's usually a hand gesture kind of thing. You can...
Or you just walk out of the
That's
bathroom
what I was
with your
going to
pants
say.
around
With your pants
ankles.
around your legs, you're just shuffling your ankles, holding the empty roll.
Jack White tells a story. He was in Spain and he tried to flush the toilet after taking a shit in a restaurant, and he was like flushing it. It wasn't going.
Story of my life.
Then he goes and grabs like a waiter, and he doesn't speak any Spanish. So he's like, follow me, you know? Then he like points to the toilet and hits the flusher, and it goes down. So he goes, so I did, this Spanish guy thinks that I just invited him into the bathroom to take a look at my
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's great.
All right. We're good. So, yeah.
You didn't tell me you were going live. You just went live. I could have been doing something. I could have been picking my nose.
He was waiting for that, probably.
Yeah. Wait for the right time.
Also, for anyone who wasn't around for the Monday stream, I do think it should be acknowledged the difference in one of our co-hosts' appearance.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I'm ugly. Thank you.
No, that's not different. That's not different.
Ooh, it's going to be one of those nights. I see. I just, for continuity, I didn't want anybody to get confused.
Like, did Donnie get replaced? Like, no, that's ugly Donnie. Sorry. I wonder if it would be like Seinfeld if I like turned the light down. It would be any different, or like maybe it made me more beautiful.
You could try it.
I mean,
Right? It's like I don't think it's gonna matter, man.
on that note, welcome to Gamers Week podcast. Like the name says, we analyze the best, the worst, and the weirdest headlines of the past week in the video game industry. Today is May 21st, and this is episode 165.
166.
166. Okay, just a typo. It's cool. You know, Somebody got caught copy and pasting. It's cool.
I copy paste every week. What do you want from me?
All right. And my name is Ryan, and I will be your host for this evening, but I have two lovely co-hosts with me. The first of all, who will start every challenge with, you want to play Mario Kart 8 to see who goes first? And he sounds exactly like that. Donnie G. Donnie, how you doing tonight?
What are we wagering here?
I only start that against people I know I can beat, so that's it.
Just twisting the knife there, bud. Twisting the knife.
You can kick my ass in Splatoon, so I admit that.
And next up, we have a co-host who has renamed herself and now goes by the name of Peggy. And if you have to ask, you can't afford it. Peggy, how you doing today?
You know, like we were talking about earlier, you find a niche and you fill it. That's how a side hustle works.
I'm niche.
All right. So before we move forward, want to start your own podcast, maybe about hamster wheel conspiracy theories? You'll need a place to host the show. Buzzsprout has a user-friendly interface, great analytics, and resources to help grow your audience. Use the link in the description, get a $20 credit when you sign up for a paid plan. And let's jump into our reviews, reactions, and requests. First from Rob TG9672. Isn't Nintendo bricking the same as if you reported a stolen console? My oldest son lost his OG Switch. I called Nintendo support, and they told me that the system was disabled. Great show, as always. Well, first of all, thank you, Rob.
Yes, Thank you very much. I did not know that was a thing.
Me neither.
Neither did I.
That makes a heck of a lot of sense, right? I mean, they do it to your phone, right? When you lose your phone. Mm-hmm. A lot of your personal data is on there, including cards and all that good stuff. So,
yeah, if you have your card linked to your Switch or your eShop account, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, could you do this to somebody as a cruel joke? Like if you had their serial number information or whatever and called up Sony or called up Nintendo and said, hey, my system was stolen. Here's the serial number. Can you go ahead and disable it? Sure. Bam. And next thing you know, your friend who's online, he's playing this tournament and he gets offline. And you're like, what the hell?
So I know what to do for April Fools with Donnie next year.
You just first need to infiltrate his house and get his serial number.
That's all right.
Ain't going to happen.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
All right, next up from Games with Coffee. I'm with you guys on the EB Games thing here in Canada. A rebranding might not be enough for the long run since customers' habits have changed so much. What I think will help is the fact that it will be a Canadian-owned and operated business. There's a huge push around to buy Canadian made or support Canadian businesses and services. And if the guy who bought EB Games promotes that heavily, along with other suggestions made on the pod, it might find some success. At least that's what I think. Retro gaming and mom and pop shops up here are few and far between, but they do have a loyal customer base. EB Games will have to do something spectacular to pull customers from those shops, and it's unclear whether they will have the ability to pull it off or not. I will say from my experience of shopping in Canada, the prices in mom and pop shops are outrageous. Like we're talking 20% above eBay. At least that's been my anecdotal experience. And speaking with people who live in Canada, that's, I think, also some of the gripes that they get. So that's another opportunity. If you can undercut from a price perspective, you might have yourself a winner.
That is not generally in GameStop's DNA to undercut a price. I know it's
only when you're trading something in. That's it.
Right. I know it's not technically GameStop anymore, but the foundation is still there. Right. But I wish them success, because if EB Games can find a way to make this work, it would be hopefully a blueprint to bring back shops to the rest of the world where they've gone away.
Let's get Babbage's back.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, right. Funko Land, right?
We don't need all of them back. Just one.
Well, Funko Land, though, had some great training videos, so I'm a little biased on that one.
I think we should get Hastings back. That was my favorite.
Hastings. I'm not familiar with that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Restaurant?
No. It was a store that, they sold merch, they had games, they had books, DVDs.
Things. Did they sell Moich?
They had a Moich store.
A moich store? Okay.
Yep.
Keep on.
Nice.
All right. So last up, Gaming and Gain says, if I can convince my wife that getting cocktail arcade cabinets is part of the workout regime, you guys are geniuses. Which I responded to that. This is literally Gaming and Gains.
Genius.
I'm very clever.
Pure genius.
All right. So why don't we go ahead and shout out our patrons?
We couldn't do what we do without the help of our gorgeous patrons. Here are the generous folks supporting Gamers Week on Patreon. The Mad Milkman, Seven Castle Forest, Crunchy Kong, Sheriff Snacks, Frank Grande, Love Retro BTW, Steven Sand, Ramboski, Terry Kinnear, Don't Make Me Pull This Car Over, Games with Coffee, Hybrid Divide, You Fall Before Me, Davey PGH, The Pixel Pond Family, including Shannon and Luke, Zach Huge Thanks, Puzzle Butter, Number One Blue Sick Voice Fan, John Barron, Sassy Sony, Evo Lust, Rai Wants This Boy's Soul, Mega Retroman, Gamatroid, Moradib, Michael, you listen, on this ship, you're to refer to me as idiot, not you captain. I mean, you know what I mean. Luckite, Emo-esque, Bill Tucker, you know, the bleeps, the sweeps, and the creeps, Fruitcakes, Pickled Pepper, Ducks with Thick Thighs, absolutely the best podcast, A Work in Progress, Blobs and Dugnut, Blues Little Sis, Loudmouth, Retroblast Pat, and BNT Zilla Guy. If you like what you hear today, and we really hope you do, please consider joining us on Patreon. Your support helps cover the cost of producing the show, as well as other cool stuff we'll be doing, like prizes and giveaways. You'll also gain access to our bi-weekly patron-only bonus cast called Gamers Week Uncut, Patrons with Benefits. Visit patreon.com/gamersweek or follow the link in the show notes to learn more. I feel like I'm missing something.
No, Donnie was making faces, so I did the same.
Yeah, you're just in the bi-weekly. I was like, ooh.
Ooh, baby. I'm a butter your bread. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our headlines.
Our headline segment is proudly sponsored by absolutely the best podcast, A Work in Progress. Each episode, Jordan and Zach discuss and rank all the best things, starting with deep dives into every movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This week, they've got a trivia question for us. What was the first home console game to carry the Street Fighter moniker? Visit them at absolutelythebest.net or follow the link in the show notes.
So there are many answers that I would think would qualify. So I hate the wording of this. I just want to throw that out.
Right. So he wants what the first game was that had Street Fighter. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if many people know this, but Street Fighter 2 came out in the arcades. Everybody's like, Street Fighter 2? Where the hell was Street Fighter 1?
Right.
Well, it was known by a different name. So that particular game, I can't say was the first Street Fighter on the home console. For me, in my memory, it was
redacted
for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So that's my guess.
A great guess. Like you kind of pointed out, Fighting Street was really Street Fighter.
Correct.
And that was available on the PC Engine and the TurboGrafx 16. The name Street Fighter as well, I think, was available on the ZX Spectrum in like Commodore 64 and stuff. But I will admit, the Commodore 64 was a computer. I would say the ZX maybe was more of a console hybrid computer, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's really towing the line on this one, I think. If we're going to go strictly consoles, so NES, Super Nintendo, whatever, I think you're right.
Redacted
is what we're going with.
Yeah, if you want to be pedantic, which it does say the ZX Spectrum is an 8-bit home computer.
And considering who gave us this question, you know they want to be pedantic.
Yes.
So the correct answer as to what was the first home console game to carry the Street Fighter moniker, it was redacted. For the NES, released in 1990.
Yeah.
Good job, boys. And I do want to say, Zach bet that neither of you would get this. But if one of you was going to get it, his money was on Donnie.
Oh, love you, buddy. Kisses.
Really? I do gaming history every week. And I've watched AVGN, by the way. So I am well familiar with this game.
That's all you need to be an expert is to watch AVGN.
He did an entire episode.
I lived it, man. I lived the NES.
Oh, I'm sorry that. Well, so did I. But
it's crap. It's crap.
Yeah, it's a terrible game.
It's crap. Yeah, absolutely. As most NES games were, but
it's not even a fighting game.
No, not at all.
Red Ox says, "Good job, boys."
Thanks, Red.
Take that, Zach.
Keep firing, assholes.
All right. So in this week's episode of CEO Says Stupid Shit. Last week, when a Twitter user expressed concern over upcoming Borderlands 4 potentially being $80, a price point that has not been set just yet, Gearbox head Randy Pitchford responded, "If you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen." The tweet inspired hundreds, if not thousands, of takes about its tone deafness. It comes at a time when consumer spending power is dropping and prices are going up. And telling people if they're a real fan, they can make an $80 price point work did not go over well. Many fans said that the tweet had derailed promotion for the game out in 4 months. Others said that they wouldn't play it at all now. Earlier today, Pitchford responded to the backlash by doubling down on his opinion and posting a link to a recent Borderlands 4 Q&A in which he states there's other folks accepting the reality that game budgets are increasing and there's tariffs for the retail packaging. And it's getting gnarly out there, you guys. Borderlands 4 has more than twice the development budget than Borderlands 3. More than twice! Given Borderlands 4 is due out in September 12th, 2025, 2K Games will announce the price sooner rather than later. For a huge portion of people, even $60 is unthinkable for a game purchase, let alone $80. Not to mention that the Borderlands series is more than 15 years old, and a lot of the IP's audience will be regular people with jobs struggling to make ends meet. The Borderland name is far from invincible, an idea that Pitchford and 2K Games would be wise to remember.
Ducks in Disguise says Greasy Randy strikes again, and I like that. I like that nickname, Greasy Randy.
Yeah. You Fall Before Me says, CEOs always thinking that the kids are the ones who are actually out of touch, just like Seymour Skinner. And Tegan85 says, he's actually suggesting people just steal the game. He's actually a huge Les Mis fan.
There you go. I've always hated that gatekeeping bullshit, and this is not the first time we've ever heard something like that. Anybody else who's a fan of a series is like, well, if you were a real fan, then you know that in episode 4, at the 30-minute mark, that you could see a flash of this game in the episode. If you're a real fan of that series, then you know it. Yeah, screw you, dude. Nobody gives a shit.
That was actually the exact point I wanted to make is if there's one thing that I really hate out of the last 10 to 15 years, it's the weaponization of the idea of being a quote unquote real fan as a way to deflect all criticism automatic. It's like, well, I don't have to answer your criticism because you're not a real fan. This is everything from if you don't like the Star Wars sequels to if you didn't like the last season of Game of Thrones, well, you're just not a real fan. You're supposed to get on your knees and gulp down every single last bit that the IP has to offer and not complain one bit. So I hate this concept.
But the point that this one is it's about economics. It's about being able to afford it, which I think is even more scummy to me, right? Mm-hmm. And it's the same people who like when a collector's edition comes out that is $200 for a game, right? And it's if you're a real fan, you'll get the collector's edition. It's when that new statue for Final Fantasy comes out and they're like $1,000 in order to get something that sits on your shelf and does nothing but looks like Sephiroth. You're not a real fan unless you get that statuette. I find that to be like the highest tier of bullshit gatekeeping. And the fact that a CEO is doing that prior to a game coming out, I think it's also a harbinger that this is going to be an $80 game because he didn't deflect and say that. He just said it would be a real gamer. You would pay that price point. So clearly that was in the plan. What happened to empathy, I guess, is my question, right?
When you're in those positions, you don't have empathy.
Yeah.
You know what? But you fake it for fuck's sake.
Well, exactly. There's that connectivity that you need to have with your fan base and the people that are buying your product. There are also the things that you need to you can think them, but don't say them out loud.
Right.
Like, a real fan of this would buy. Yeah, you know what? You're probably right. But let's not say that to the masses because that's going to be a huge turnoff to everybody.
And I love that his response is to double down on it and to justify it by saying, well, look, budgets are out of control, you guys. The expenses are way too much. And essentially to give this sob story about how the billion-dollar company is struggling. Mm-hmm. And then expecting people to go, oh, you're right, Randy. That must be really difficult for you. I mean, I can't pay my rent, but of course I'll buy your $80 game. He could have... In another reality, just said, you know what, to the fan who's tweeting and saying, I hope it's not $80. He could have also said, you know what, I hope it's not either, but it's not up to me. But what I can promise you is for your every hard-earned dollar you've spent on the game, we're going to do our absolute best to make sure it's worth it.
Right.
And that would endear him to the fans instead of being a douche. It's like when he went on that rampage on social media after the Borderlands movie bombed, picking fights left and right and blocking people because he couldn't handle the criticism. So apparently having learned nothing from that, from the fact that the quote unquote real fans were not enough to save the Borderlands movie, because if it sucks, they're not going to humor you. I mean, I don't know how they pick these guys to be CEOs of these companies because they all seem like fucking morons.
That's the quality. That's the quality that you need to become a CEO of a company. To be a fucking clueless moron.
Damn it. Great stuff going on in the chat, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Yes. Doongi Forever has broken my heart. I just want to say that because he said that he's not a real fan and that he's only here for blue. Ouch.
Golden, I just noticed that I'm beardless. But TK85 says, but at least we can all agree that you're not a real fan of GWP unless you're a patron. You're here.
We hate gatekeeping, but that kind of gatekeeping.
Yeah, we'll allow it. But it's getting gnarly out there, you guys. Borderlands 4 has more than twice the development budget than Borderlands 3. More than twice. Well, guess what? Do what you tell other people to do. Do more with less.
Like your salary.
Exactly. Is there a reason why this development budget has to double?
It's almost like that was a thing that wasn't in their absolute control.
Right.
Weird how that works.
Well, you know, the budget for my Ferrari, that goes into the gaming budget. Mm-hmm. And of course, all the yachts that we have to lease and stuff like that, that goes into the budget too.
Honestly, as much as I hate to say it, I don't think Randy being an asshole is going to affect Borderlands 4's sales. I think people who are going to buy it are going to buy it anyway. Right. And the people who are put off from this and rightly saying, well, now I don't even want to play it, I think they're going to be a very small percentage. So it will be much more interesting to see if this game succeeds and fails on its own merits in spite of Randy Pitchford.
Puzzle Petter said 4 out of 5 fans keep it reals by spending their rent money for your car.
Yep.
Well played. All right, next up, Star Wars infamous villain Darth Vader has been turned into an AI, and users have already got it saying racial slurs.
What?
Younglings. Epic's latest Fortnite season is once again Star Wars themed, featuring famous characters, X-Wings, and TIE fighters, and even the dreaded Death Star looming overhead. It also introduced a Darth Vader AI companion, which uses the late James Earl Jones voice in collaboration between Epic Games and his family. It was originally kind of cute when Vader talking about Fortnite and even recognizing and interacting with some of the in-game skins like Hatsune Miku and Sabrina Carpenter, for example. However, it was long before players began tricking the AI into saying some pretty heinous things, including F-bombs, racial slurs, asking someone if they like Chunk Lee's ass, making a tier list of races, threatening to kill someone in real life, and eliminating players on the same side as him for calling him daddy.
He wouldn't make it on this show.
Epic Games has, of course, been hotfixing it with updates that further restrict what it can and cannot say. But with so many users interacting, it's difficult to address all the malfunctions. Meanwhile, SAG-AFTRA has filed an unfair labor practice charge with the National Labor Relations Board against Epic Games after the company implemented AI voice Darth Vader last week. The complaint alleges that over the last 6 months, Llama Productions, owned by Epic Games, has failed to bargain in good faith with SAG-AFTRA's video game actors and is undermining the work of human SAG-AFTRA members who have previously or could potentially do the work of matching Darth Vader's voice with their own performances. Wow, that was a lot to take in. There's like two stories in one here.
I will not agree with the fact, the last part. There is and always will be only one Darth Vader voice. And for me, it is James Earl Jones. So what? Tread lightly. I would tread lightly, Blue.
She's turned into a blowfish.
There is one James Earl Jones voice. However, because of how they use Darth Vader, like you can do all kinds of voice changers already to make yourself Darth Vader.
Sure.
And I guarantee that if they put somebody else in there with that same kind of vocal quality, throw the vocal changer over it to give it the Darth Vader-ness, it would be just fine.
Well, what's the dude who redid Indiana Jones? So did Harrison Ford's voice. What's
Troy
his
Baker.
name? Troy Baker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't tell the difference, right?
Wow, he was great.
A lot of people do really good voices, so I mean. But to your point, Donnie, right? I do think that there is the one and only, right? Unfortunately, that can't really utilize Mr. Jones anymore. And may he rest in peace.
Well, and I definitely, so yes, I was a little bit premature with what I said.
It happens.
There is and always will only be one Darth Vader voice to me, and that is James Earl Jones. But this can set an ugly precedent with a company who goes to the estate of that particular person and says, hey, can we work with you? Can we use his voice? Do we have the rights to use the voice? And I can see a lot of companies now bypassing SAG-AFTRA to go that route and say, hey, we're going to create an AI voice of Harrison Ford when he passes away. Please, God.
It's never going to happen.
Don't take Harrison Ford. No, don't take him. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the same thing. When these big name actors pass away and you want to have a game, you want to have a Mad Max game and you want to base it on Mel Gibson. It's like, okay, well, I could bypass SAG-AFTRA. We don't have to pay their money. We can go to his estate and get the rights to use his voice. That does sound like it will set an ugly precedent.
Can we have the Tom Hardy Mad Max instead?
That's bait.
We got Timu Max Hardy at home. Or Mad Max. Did I say Max Hardy? Jesus.
I will say if they are going to pay Mr. Jones's estate every time they use it, that's what SAG-AFTRA was fighting for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like they didn't go through the proper channels. Epic, despite this being like a really stupid thing that they've put out there, they went through the proper channels. They got permission. But I hope this is a warning to other people who would be willing to shill out the likenesses of their dead relatives and be like, wait a second, my grandpa could end up saying what now?
Right.
In a video game? I get the appeal of messing with AI, and I get the appeal. Like, personally, I would love to make it say just absolutely filthy things just to prove that this technology is too easily manipulated. But, of course, the racist stuff is just unnecessary and way too far, and nobody needs to be doing that.
Open up your Sarlacc pit. I'm going to shove my lightsaber in it.
Could you do I've altered your whole, pray I don't alter it any further?
That killed me. Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
Tegan85 says, hey, if you want something to spit out racist rants in a Mad Max game, either AI or the real Mel Gibson would work. So it's just kind of the point I was making. Is like, can we have Tom Hardy Mad Max instead? I prefer. Yeah.
You broke Donnie.
I am altering your hole. Pray I don't alter it any further.
God, that's great.
This hole is getting bigger all the time. I don't know how you get it. How do we add more to this?
I don't know. That's great.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, let's.
Next up, Sony has announced the end of its PlayStation Stars loyalty program less than 3 years after its launch. The reward program no longer accepts new members as of today, and anyone leaving their membership will now be unable to join, with reward points permanently deleted upon cancellation. Otherwise, existing members will continue to be able to earn points until July 23rd, 2025, and redeem any remaining balance until November 3rd, 2026. PlayStation Stars launched in July of 2022 as a way to reward PlayStation 5 owners with points with real cash value based on money spent in the PlayStation Store, as well as for completing various tasks like completing a survey or trying out various games or system features. The offer was a rival to Microsoft's Xbox Rewards, and over time, both programs have changed to become less profitable. PlayStation Stars was unavailable for a month last summer while its services were unavailable. Then in October, Sony announced a number of changes to PlayStation Stars, including expiration dates on points after 12 months rather than 24 months, and the removal of PlayStation Plus membership as points eligible purchase. Now, the whole thing is disappearing altogether. In Wednesday's blog post about the shutdown, Chen says that since launching the program, we've learned a lot from evaluating the types of activities our players respond to best. And as a company, we're always evolving with player and industry trends. Through this evaluation, we have decided to refocus our efforts and will be winding down the current version of PlayStation Stars. They got rid of something no one cared about.
Well, there's that, or it was actually working. And they said, well, we can't have that. Yeah. So we're losing too much money.
It doesn't say specifically the reason why they're getting rid of it. They just said, well, we always evaluate the things our players respond best to. And whenever they do, we take it away from them.
Right.
You know, there was somebody out there who was just taking as many surveys as possible. Mm-hmm. And just spending all day trying to play games and do various activities there just to get free games, which kudos to them.
Yeah.
If I had more time and a lot more patience, maybe I would do that as well.
Simon Asher says, if you're a real Sony fan, this won't affect you. Understood that reference.
Nintendo is getting rid of their gold points too, right? I haven't heard that, but this was what PlayStation Stars is just gold points, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Nintendo's getting rid of it too. And I think that tells you a lot about where the current state of the industry is. I personally never used PlayStation Stars. I don't buy digital games for my PlayStation. I usually get like the AA or the AAA games on my PlayStation, and those I buy physically. As far as indie games or other digital purchases, I use my Switch for those. So I got a ton of stuff, a lot of discounts for eShop points, and I'm really sad to see that going away. But PlayStation Stars, who cares?
It's like a fart in the wind. You didn't know it was there, and before you knew, it was gone.
Yeah, I was like, what was that?
That was a great face, by the way. I felt the emotion of that oof.
It was method acting. I really channeled it, the emotion.
Stings the nostrils.
Yeah. Makes your eyes water.
So do you think this is relevant to a long-standing trend, or do you think this is relevant to inflationary things and price upgrades and all that kind of stuff that's recent? Do you think that's why Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch are essentially kiboshing these?
Yeah, if I had to guess, the fact that they're all three doing it, they're all three seeing the same challenges of maintaining their profit margins and increasing their player base and trying to draw players away from the other two, which is just not going to work. This probably only really benefits our most loyal customers. And so in that case, they're not going to be mad if we take it away. So let's get rid of it.
The real customers.
Yes, the real fans.
The real customers.
Will stay even without it.
I will say, giving people the opportunity to purchase stuff up until late 2026 is a decent move. You know, they could have just said absolutely not and gotten rid of it in July. Said,
Yeah,
spend your
true.
points by July. Good luck, f***ers.
Yeah.
But chances are there's probably a game that you're waiting to come out, right? You got a whole bunch of PlayStation Star points, and hopefully your game gets announced not December of 2026.
Yeah, not delayed out of 2026 either.
Mm-hmm. Is Silk Song ready?
Oof.
Why are you doing this? You're just being mean for no reason.
I chose violence.
Yeah, you did.
I would seriously like to know if this ate too much into their profit margin, where people were just redeeming so many things that they added all of these up and said, oh, well, we could have easily gotten like $2 million or $1 million. To us, that sounds like a lot. To them, it's probably not that much. But
Pocket change.
hey, it's still $1 million that they could have had that they're now giving away free. And in the grand scheme of things, you would think a company like Sony should be able to just do that for the people that buy their products and keep their company afloat. But it doesn't seem like, how do I put this? Back in 50s, 60s, 70s, and even 80s, there was that loyalty, that customer loyalty, that do anything for the customer is always right. I'm going to bend over backwards to make your experience at my store a very memorable one to keep you coming back. And now that's just, like Blue said, it's a fart in the wind. Nobody gives a shit about it anymore because they know, like, well, they're going to spend money anyway, so why do I got to treat them any better?
Well, that and also the bend over backwards for the customer created the Karen mindset.
Customer's
True.
always right. Yep.
Yeah.
Right. There's a happy medium, and we went too far. Now we seem to have swung the other way in many instances. We just need to find that middle ground again.
TK85 says $100 or $1 million. Usually you have to lay off 10 people for those kinds of savings. This made me throw up in my mouth.
Yeah.
By Grabthar's hammer.
Did you say Thar?
Grabthar's hammer.
Thar? Who's Thar?
She's making a reference to Galaxy Quest.
Yeah. What page are
sorry.
you on?
I've seen that movie once. Sorry.
He thought that you were grabbing Thar's hammer.
Or he thought that I was
with
saying
both
Thor
hands.
instead of Thor, huh?
Exactly. There you go. I was like, what? Come on. You know Thor, not Thar.
Imagine if she spent her entire life thinking Thor was pronounced Thar.
Yeah, I don't like those Marvel movies.
Was Princess Zorlda?
Yeah.
All right, next up, Smash Together, an unofficial dating app started up for like-minded Smash Bros. Players to meet and mingle, has claimed it has received a cease-and-desist letter just before its open beta. The app was due to enter open beta on May 15th after several months of development, but on May 13th, the official account posted a sad Yoshi meme with the text, "We got cease-and-desisted." The app developers don't specify who the cease and desist is from, although the assumption would be Nintendo. No shit. Since it's a Smash Bros. Dating app, Smash Together advertised itself as a premium dating site for Smash Bros. Enjoyers and of all kinds, where one can make their dreams double partner in and out of Smash. There's a lot of entendres. With a matchmaking algorithm tailored to connect you with ideal Smash partner. Screenshots of the app included sections for listing your character of choice or main, as well as notable wins and prompts similar to those you might find in other dating apps, but the Smash Bros. Twist. I'm looking for someone who can make it out of pools at a major, for example. There's been no word out of the Smash Together camp as to whether the team will seek an alternative solution without Smash Bros. As the foundation. Until then, please appreciate the restraint I've exhibited in this article by not writing a single joke about smashing.
Well done. Well done.
No notes.
I don't think anybody can get away with doing anything that's even closely related to anything Nintendo.
I don't get it.
Trying to make your own company with a unique, funny name, trying to make a t-shirt with like Mario or something on it. It doesn't matter what you think you want to do with that. Just don't do it.
Puzzle Better says restraint is overrated.
The only thing I can think of that would be like legitimate, that's not just like typical Nintendo, right? Is that they were afraid that people were thinking that it was officially sponsored by Nintendo. And knowing what happens on dating apps.
No, what happens on dating apps?
Smashing.
Yeah, they're playing Super Smash Brothers.
Right, yeah.
That's what they call it, smashing, right? That's what as the kids say. So I remembered a couple months ago, there was somebody actually won a lawsuit against Nintendo for the right to use the Super Mario name. And it was a grocery store in Costa Rica. Let's see. Yep. The shop is run by a local man, Don Jose Mario Alfaro Gonzalez, Mario for short. In a Facebook post, his son Carlos explained that he registered the shop's name Super Mario back in 2013. Last year, the name had to be renewed, which probably attracted Nintendo's attention. However, due to the effort of their lawyer, the shop owners managed to prove their right to the name.
To Super Mario?
According to the post, Nintendo has listed a number of spheres where it has an exclusive right to use the trademark. However, the list doesn't include grocery stores, and this fact helped the Costa Rican shop to keep its name. Lawyered.
I like the win. Yeah. Because if you tell me that he registered it in 2013, I was like, wait a second. Come on. Super Mario has been around since the 80s. So how does this compute? But like you said, that sphere, they don't have the ability to.
Right.
Yeah.
So do they have that sphere in dating apps or just apps in general, I wonder? And then it makes me wonder, what other spheres do they not have control over?
Good Lord. Here we go.
You know exactly where my mind is going. Think of the super mushrooms that you could have.
Well, you're starting your own adult toy line, right?
Yeah.
I think we've talked about that in podcast past. So at least now you know. You can test the waters and find out for yourself.
I'm sure Nintendo will be fine with it. I'll offer to send them all free merch.
This one's the Toad. You can tell by its, because it's small. This one's the Bowser. It will destroy you.
When you turn it on, it plays the theme song.
Dun, dun, dun. Breathes fire.
Fleshlight's called Peaches. Peaches, 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 peaches.
Just think of what you could do with Birdo.
Oh, yeah. And if I remember right, Birdo is transgender.
I believe that's canon. Yes.
Yes. So
many possibilities.
So many possibilities.
So many possibilities.
So the question, though, is if they had, say hypothetically, we were all single, and there came an app out for Blue, which would be Hollow Knight. Right?
I can't wait to see what you're going to say here.
And Donnie would be Night Trap, right? If there was an enthusiast dating site, would you sign up for it?
Yeah, I think I would, just out of morbid curiosity. How strong is your nail?
What kind of outfits do you like to wear when you get trapped by augurs?
I feel like, do you know all the words? It's gonna be good.
Are you a real fan of Night Trap? Right. Tell me the words of the song.
I don't know. For me, there are certain games that you would love to play with your partner, right? Smash is probably one of them. Splatoon, of course. Love it. A lot of fun. Mario Kart 8, for example, right? But if we're talking RPGs, it's not bad, right? But I have played in the same room as someone while you play an RPG. And depending on who they are, it can either be a fun experience or it can be me having to explain everything over again, or them just sitting there going, this is boring.
Well, that's why you need that specialized app so that you can guarantee that the other person you're chatting with on the app is at the same level of fandom as you are.
Fanny,
of course.
Fanny fandom.
Yeah. Fanny fandom. Again, we don't kink shame.
All right, so why don't we go ahead and take a look at our top 3 new releases?
All right, first up is Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time, out on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Step into this slow life RPG where you can freely switch between 14 unique jobs called lives and enjoy a carefree life in a fantasy world. Fish, cook, shape the island to your liking, or team up with friends to battle monsters across the vast world. Next up is Duck Detective, The Ghost of Glamping, out on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. You are the one and only Eugene McQuacklin, Duck Detective, a depressed and recently divorced duck with a crippling bread addiction who must quack the case, inspect evidence, make deductions, and solve this 2 to 3 hour long cozy no murder mystery. And then finally, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tactical Takedown, out on PC. Splinter and Shredder are dead. Help the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles tackle deadly new threats and the approach of adulthood in this fast-paced, turn-based beat-em-up. So out of these three, what are you in for, Donnie?
Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time, slow life RPG where you can switch between job? No. That's, I already have one job and that's already enough. So no, that doesn't do anything for me.
I got a job for you.
I bet you do. Hand, foot. Duck Detective, The Ghost of Glamping. It sounds funny. Sounds like it would be good. 2 to 3 hours. Okay, that's like, you don't have to put that much time into it, but I don't know. I just like, I don't want to, do I really want to read? Do I really want to play this game and just read constantly? So probably not going to be for me. And then when I saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tactical Takedown, I was like, oh, great. Wow, just on the PC? What kind of game is turn-based beat 'em up? What the f- is that? And then I saw playthrough and gameplay, and I'm just like, that's a bastardization of everything I know about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So for me, this week, Donnie G, I'm out. Nothing.
I'm out.
All right. What about you, Ryan?
So Fantasy Life, The Girl Who Steals Time. It's like a mishmash between like Zelda a little bit, like Cooking Mama, Harvest Moon or whatever. And oh, what a snooze. What a snooze fest. Watching the trailer, I was like, there's nothing in this that I would want to do. So yeah, that's a solid no from me. Mm-hmm. Duck Detective, I do enjoy duck puns. Just gonna throw that out there.
Yep.
Right.
They fit the bill.
They do. I love that your duck is. Well done. I even missed it.
I know. I was just winging it. So
you gotta stop. We don't want to get caught in that web.
Just waiting for one more. That's No, I think this would be a fun game. It's 2 or 3 hours long. I think actually this is something we could stream, to be perfectly honest with you. It seems like it's got some good humor to it. I don't like a no murder mystery though. I would prefer there to be some duck murder if we can accommodate that. So maybe there'll be a patch. I don't know.
Patch for murder. The murder patch, yeah.
You just wait till the modders get hold of it.
I will say the art style I hate out of this game, but it seems clever. So cutouts of a duck and his friend, like that looks so crappy.
Yeah, it's almost kind of a Paper Mario look.
It's a choice. Yeah, it definitely is. Which brings me to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tactical Takedown. I like tactical RPGs. I really do. Final Fantasy Tactics is one of my favorite games. Shining Force series, absolutely love them. The thing is, most of those games came out of RPGs. Turn-based RPGs. So it fit. You take the world of Final Fantasy, you put it in a tactical game. Makes sense. What's every Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game? Action.
Mm-hmm.
Frenzy. Fast. Paced. Right?
Fast and furious.
Let's just, what we'll do is we'll slow this down. We'll make this boring and slow. And yeah, there's action, but it's playing a board game. And I played a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle board games, and they all suck. And this one is going to suck. So if I got to pick one, we're going with the duck. Just because I think it'd be fun for streaming.
All right.
Interesting. What about you, Blue? What are you picking this week?
Yeah, I think we're all more or less on the same page. Fantasy Life I, Looks very cutesy and very cozy. And if you're into that stuff, then I'm happy for you. I think you're going to love this, but it is not for me. Duck Detective. I appreciate the puns and what I hope is going to be clever writing and the fact that it's only $10. So it seems to be priced a little more in accordance with its length. I hope that it does have some replayability, maybe some variability in the endings. And then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tactical Takedown. Calling it a turn-based beat 'em up makes me think they knew that what they were doing was wrong. And so they were like, we're just making a tactical RPG. How do we sell this in a way that's not going to put off every single Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan? Oh, we'll call it a turn-based beat 'em up. I'm not buying it. So of these three, I'm going with the Duck game, but probably not rushing out to get anything.
We've all been disappointed this week, gaming industry.
Yeah, it's a lackluster. And next week, they'll be like, Gamers Week podcast, we've heard you. Here are the new 3 games coming out this week. And we're like, whoa, I'm going to play all of them.
Splatoon 4, Silk Song, and they came out with a...
Night Trap 2.
Well, I was going to say Dreamcast 2, but yeah.
Oh my God, this doesn't happen to me.
Tegan85 says, Turtles comes out tomorrow and doesn't have any critic reviews yet. That's usually a great sign.
They're like, no, thank you. All right, before we move on, let's take a quick break to talk about our sponsor. This segment is proudly sponsored by the Retro Game Club podcast. It's a fantastic family-friendly retro gaming podcast. In each episode, Rob and a guest pick 2 games to play and discuss, as well as news, interviews, and other topics. This week, Rob is joined by NES homebrew developer Nate Peters to discuss Free Comic Book Day, the Neo Geo at 35, and his upcoming game, Doodle World 2. Visit them at retrogameclub.net or follow the link in the show notes.
Do you remember Free Comic Book Day?
Yes. I haven't participated in Free Comic Book Day in so long. I have stopped buying new comic books. I only go for like back issues and stuff that I want to collect in my collection. Mm-hmm. Comic books are just ridiculously expensive now.
Oh, yeah.
It's long gone are the days of the 99-cent comic or even the $1.25, $1.50 back in the 90s. It's $6, $7 for a comic. No, thanks.
And that's why they're not doing Free Comic Book Day anymore, realistically.
Are they not? There was a local comic book shop here near me that still does it.
Then you have the best comic book shop, because I have yet to hear of one even remotely. So, when I was in Georgia, when I was in New York, and here in Tennessee, nothing.
Well, see, Webhead is saying Free Comic Book Day is the first Saturday every May.
Right.
Not was. Is.
Oh, I haven't heard of them doing it in any shop. So, interesting.
There are a couple around me that still do it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get some and send them to you.
Your results may vary. I feel like I've heard it promoted here, but I've never gone because I don't really care about comic books.
Frankie, he's trying to gaslight you.
My anecdotal experience has been.
I used to love comic books as a kid. Oh my God. I love to get lost in comic books. You could buy so many with very few amount of dollars. There was even free video game day. No, what? I don't know about that.
I don't recall seeing that. I can't see, but
yeah, they're all Atari 2600 games. Just copies of Combat.
Here, just go to this landfill. You get free games.
Or scan this QR code and download this mobile game.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming, students. Please take your seats and welcome back to a Professor Rybread's Nostalgia 101. And in today's lesson, we'll be discussing one of the largest online-based companies in the 90s that is all but absent today. Any guesses?
AOL.
What kind of company again?
It's an online-based company. It was the biggest company, and potentially in the world as well.
Oh, yeah. I got to go with blue, AOL.
America Online. Good old AOL. That's right. So, AOL did not start off as America Online. In fact, it started in 1983 as a company called Control Video Corporation, or CBC. And it had one brilliant idea. What if we let people download Atari games over the phone? Now, I actually covered this back in the day. There was a few companies that were doing it at the time, but apparently CBC was one of them. And spoiler alert, it worked as well as a Power Glove. But the ashes of that idea gave birth to something bigger. After some restructuring and a fairly erroneous name change, CBC became Quantum Computer Services, which it was not a quantum computer, in 1985, and started building online services like quote-unquote Q-Link for the Commodore 64 users. It was like the internet, but only for nerds who thought floppy disks were the future of human interaction. And then in 1989, Quantum rebranded again to a name destined for tech immortality, America Online. Now, AOL's success wasn't powered by innovations or breakthrough technology. It was powered by an unstoppable onslaught of free trial CDs. Do you guys remember these?
I do.
I do. I would go to my friend's house on the weekend, and she would have like a stack of them.
They came in the mail. They were available at like Best Buy. They'd hand them out at church. Like it was insane, right? And actually, at one point, by 1999, AOL was producing over 50% of the world's CD-ROMs.
Wow.
As free trials?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Right. Now, I will say I started using them for several different things, just not the free trial, because I think we only used it once to sign up. But some examples that I found were people used them as frisbees. I saw some examples of wind chimes, rear view mirror decorations. I even saw one that was armor for LARPing.
That's the best one.
But me and my roommate, so I remember he had one of those stacks of CDs, the one with like the spindle in the middle or whatever. And I was looking through them, right? Because we were like picking out games to play and stuff. And I recognized he had like 6 or 7 AOL free trial CDs. So what I did is I took them and glued some felt to the bottom. Boom, instant coaster right there. So we had AOL CDs like out on the end table and everything. It was great. So meanwhile, AOL's actual software was kind of like the Apple Store. It had like the little friendly icon, sound effects, and that cheerful voice. You've got mail.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Now, by the mid-90s, AOL had over 20 million subscribers and was essentially a digital monopoly on grandma's internet. A chat room existed for every fetish, fandom, flavor of high school drama that you could pick. And they were essentially printing money. At its peak, AOL was worth more than Disney, GM, and Coca-Cola combined.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. AOL Instant Messenger became the preferred communication for many teenagers, with iconic features like away messages, with cryptic lyrics like "Behind blue eyes, nobody knows what it's like." Screen names like Poonslayer 420 and XX Dragon Queen XX. The unmistakable door creaking sound when someone opened or when someone signed in and signed out. That was also an indication that if I had my speakers up too loud and I was in my room and I was supposed to be grounded because I didn't do something right, so I wasn't allowed to go online, all of a sudden you would hear Mom would go, "Are you online?" Damn it. But what was your cringy AOL username?
Mine was Immortal 2 or Immortal 316. So my license plate in high school was IMORTL2, Immortal. So I just turned that into my screen name.
Nice. Blue, did you have one?
Mine was Cinnamon 101.
Like the actual spelling of cinnamon or SIN?
No, the actual spelling.
Cinnamon 1.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
The cringe inside is so strong right now.
Oh man, we're getting so many in the chat right now. I love it.
Agent Nil says, mine was Dr. Nefarious. Tegan85 says, TMAC lobotomy. I did not have many girlfriends in high school. Puzzle Better says, SP Hearts for the Smashing Pumpkins hearts.
Nice.
Very nice.
So when I created mine, it was in the process of I was trying to start a band with friends, and every band back in the day that was a punk band had an X in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we were going to be FGX was the name of our band. So mine was FGX Punk 85.
Well, then there you go.
Yeah.
Eventually, though, AOL ran into a few mistakes. For one, a corporate mashup so tragically dumb, it made New Coke look like a solid business plan. In 2000, AOL brought Time Warner for $165 billion, in which would become one of the largest mergers in U.S. history. The idea was simple. Combine old media, TV, film, and print with new media, cat pics, and slow-loading websites. What could go wrong? The answer, everything. And how, you may ask? Well, the dot-com bubble popped. Giants like Pets.com.
Do you want to rephrase that?
The dot-com bubble popped.
There you go.
It's a mouthful.
That's what she said.
Phrasing.
Giants like Pets.com, eToys.com, and Webvan were taken down like the last kid picked in dodgeball. AOL was not immune, and their use of dial-up when broadband was gaining traction put them in a position to be outmaneuvered like your favorite Blockbuster when Netflix hit the scene. Culture clashes between tech bros and media suits tanked morale at Time Warner AOL, and Time Warner execs eventually admitted that they had no idea what AOL even did. We're going to buy this for $165 million. What do they do? I don't know.
Sounds legit.
Now, fun fact, within a few years, over $200 billion in shareholder value vanished. And the AOL Time Warner merger became a Harvard Business School case study titled LOL, Nope. After the epic implosion, AOL desperately tried to pivot, bought websites like Engadget, HuffPost, and TechCrunch because apparently owning journalists would make people forget about dial-up. AOL also repositioned themselves as a content-based company, launching new services like AOL Radio, AOL TV, AOL Desktop, and even AOL Livestream, which was basically a social media for your boomer aunt. Meanwhile, AIM limped along, propped up by nostalgia and people too lazy to download MSN Messenger. Now, in 2025, Verizon bought AOL for $4.4 billion. Just think about that. Once sold for $1.65 billion. 2015, now worth 4.4. Because apparently it still had value. They merged it with Yahoo, which aged about as well as AOL did, and rebranded the whole thing as Oath, a name that sounds like either a fantasy spell or a failed deodorant brand. And in 2021, Verizon finally threw in the towel and sold AOL to Apollo Global Management for just $5 billion, which included the sale of Yahoo.
Like, how does the price keep going up?
So I was able to pick out some fun like controversies and like things like that. So for one, I heard a lot of reports that canceling AOL was like kind of trying to get out of a cult in the like 2000s. So, you know, AOL essentially was notorious for making it like impossible. And in fact, in 2006, a guy by the name of Vincent Ferrari actually recorded a 20-minute phone call with an AOL rep who refused to let him leave, which is like, no. But unfortunately, the call went viral for that guy, and he got fired. And I assume he must work for Comcast now or something.
Out.
Yeah. So AOL released also search data for 650,000 users for research purposes, except they forgot to make it anonymous. So one user named user417749 became famous for her hauntingly specific and very public search queries, which included things like how to poison neighbor's tree.
Oh no.
Yeah. And there was a chat room crackdown as well. Apparently, the internet ruins everything. So AOL started cracking down on its beloved chat rooms, banning words like breast, even in the context of breast cancer, because their filter was written by a Puritan with a modem. And a fun fact, in 1995, a hacker discovered that typing goodbye in a chat room would kick everyone out, and which I think is actually a nice metaphor for AOL, right?
Goodbye.
Right, exactly. It rose up from nothing and then dominated everything and then abruptly locked off.
Back to nothing.
You got it. So AOL may be gone from your desktop, but it left a huge mark, and it brought the internet to millions of people who had never touched a computer to help normalize online communication. It launched memes, awkward away messages, and thousands of passwords that were probably terrible. And let's be honest, if you're over the age of 30 and you have at least one cringy AIM screen name, you probably weren't real. So, thank you for attending today's Nostalgia 101. Just a reminder, if you have any ideas for a story you'd like to hear, send us a message at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com, and we might feature your suggestion.
There was this application, I believe, called AOL Hell that a couple of my friends got their hands on. Mm-hmm. And so they would like try to load it up, but you would need like a credit card to go in and use. And
of course,
I remember being over at their house one night and just trying to think of like all the different credit card combinations that we could put in just to see if we could get it to work. And I think like maybe we did it for like 20 minutes and then we just got bored and said, screw it. But AOL Hell, I remember, was like a prepubescent hacker tool where you could kick people out of chat rooms and do all this other stuff. You could send email bombs to AOL customers. I thought that was pretty cool back in the mid 90s.
That sounds like harmless fun.
Yeah, for me, but I mean,
getting
an email
if you kick
bomb,
somebody out of a chat room, like big freaking deal.
Oh yeah,
right? Like if you're and if you're gonna send people a bunch of just funny emails, like is your refrigerator running? You better go catch it. Like
to this day, I loved AOL Instant Messenger. I had AOL on dial-up, and really with the advancement of technology, you kind of figured that the dial-up was never going to be sufficient. People were going to need faster and faster speeds. Oh, yeah. When DSL came about, I got a DSL line. I was like, well, if I've got this dedicated line now, I don't need an AOL account. So I got out early. I got out in the late 90s from AOL.
Pulled out early.
But still used. Story of my life.
It's the way to do it.
I still played around with Instant Messenger way up until like 2004, 2005.
Which is funny because now we're all doing it for business and it's called Teams.
Yeah. Oh God. I hate that. Can we go? I'm gonna make a proposal to the company that I work for. Can we go back to AOL Instant Messenger?
So you can put up like.
Can we start using our cringy screen names at work?
Yes. My CEO is Poonslayer? What?
Think twice about messaging then.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to episode 166 of Gamers Week Podcast. And a big thank you to the Retro Game Club Podcast, Love Retro BTW, Pixel Pond Production Company, and absolutely the best podcast of work in progress for sponsoring this episode. Don't forget to check out their links in the show notes. And if you want to connect with Gamers Week, follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky at Gamers Week PC. Watch us right here on twitch.com or twitch.tv, /Gamers Week Podcast. We record live every Wednesday at 8:30 Central Time. Email us at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com. Visit our merch store at gamers-week-podcast.creator-spring.com. Or if you want to do it the easy way, follow the link in the show notes. And last but not least, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/gamersweek if you're a real fan. Finally, since you made it all the way to the end of the episode, please leave us a rating and a review to let us know how we did. We really do value your feedback. And while you're there, consider subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice.
We just, of course, the real fans are the ones who are here in the stream.
Yes.
Yes.
Real fans are the ones we made along the way.
Right.
I love it. The real fans are those who actually join us, listen to us, interact with us, no matter how they do it. We love that. So thank you very much. We will be back on YouTube on Monday when we do a live recording of the uncut episode, and then we'll be back right here next Wednesday for your viewing and listening pleasure. All three of us. What are we going to talk about next? Who knows? But you better tune in to find out.
We're there to penetrate your ear holes.
Wow.
All right, good night, everybody.
Have a great night.
Bye.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye. I'd be walking out like with my pants around my ankles, but like
Oh, God.
just
Sometimes that happens, man. I'm not above sloppy thirds.
oh, what about? They're like, oh, no, we're done, and you're just like, what?
It will remove protein stains.
Protein stains. That sounds bad.
We can't use any of this.
Right.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut, Patrons with Benefits. This is the unscripted, patron-only bonus cast with less editing and more dirty jokes. We don't know where the conversation will go, but we're sure it will be weird.
This fish just went right on my nipple, and I'm just like,
I Google Street Fighter 6. The first search result that comes up is people think they can see Ryu's in the Street Fighter 6 reveal.
Listen up here, kids. You're not going to want to get one of those VD-STDs things, right? Make it fall off. When you go, grab a pro. You'll be doing it for America.
that was perfect.
If you want to hear weekly episodes of our patron-only bonus cast, join us at patreon.com/gamersweek.